Thrifty King fountains were designed to be able to operate without electricity. In order to do this, several conditions must be met. There must be at least 10 animals that have the Thrifty King fountain as their only source of water. There must be a good airtight seal between the concrete platform and the base of the fountain. The water seal grooves between the base and the top of the unit, and between the top of the unit and the valve cover, must be filled with liquid. The supply water temperature must be at least 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Ritchie thermal tubes are highly recommended to maintain the heat of the water coming from below the frost line to the fountain. Supplemental heat may be used with Thrifty Kings whenever these conditions cannot be met. They become a high energy efficient fountain in these circumstances. Connect hose to the top of the supply line or shutoff valve. Slide foam rubber insulation over the hose, and you may want to zip tie the installation into place. Apply foam weather stripping to the bottom of the unit around the outside edge of the fountain. Also apply weather stripping to seal between the thermal tube and the bottom of the Thrifty King fountain. You may wish to add a second layer of foam here. Place fountain over the riser so the supply hose is centered in the riser tube. Mark and drill holes for anchor bolts. Install the bolts into the concrete pad and put the fountain in place, making sure to run the supply line hose up through the fountain. Use the large washers provided, then tighten down the nuts on the anchor bolts to hold the unit down. Do not over-tighten, as this could damage the plastic feet. You may also choose to use plumber's putty to ensure a good seal between the bottom of the unit and the concrete pad. Cut the supply line hose to the proper length to connect to the valve assembly and remain centered in the Ritchie thermal tube. Slip the end of the hose onto the barb fitting of the valve assembly and secure. Tighten the valve assembly and bulkhead fitting to the base of the fountain. Slide the hose insulation up toward the valve and fasten with a nylon strap. The valve may be partially covered. When requirements for energy-free use cannot be met and supplemental heat is used, the self-regulating heat cable should be connected to electrical service, then wrapped over the valve and down the supply line, under the foam insulation. Nylon ties are provided to anchor the heat cable in place. Also, if you are using an immersion heater, it can be connected to electrical service and placed in the bottom of the valve chamber. Tighten the plug hardware enough that it will not come apart. Install drain plugs from the inside of the unit. Attach the float assembly to the valve. Turn the water supply line on and begin filling the fountain. Prepare to install the fountain top by filling the water seal groove with liquid and by setting the elliptical closures inside the base. Set the top on the base of the unit. Continue filling the fountain, making sure the closures rise up into the drink wells. Bolt the unit top down to the base. Adjust the float so that water level positions the closures approximately ½ an inch below the rim of the drink well. If the closure is pressing against the rim, it is more likely to freeze shut in the winter. The ½ inch clearance allows water to drain back into the fountain, but there is still insulation over the water. Again, fill the water seal groove before placing the valve chamber cover on the unit. Seal the fountain base to the concrete pad using a thick bead of weatherproof sealing caulk. A summer cover is available for the CT4 2000 and comes standard with the CT6 Thrifty King unit. To clean Thrifty King fountains, first open the valve chamber cover and prop the float assembly so that the valve remains off. Then to drain the fountain, press the drain plug inwards from the outside of the unit using a stick or tool handle. Let the base drain and clean out the trough as needed. You may need to remove the unit cover to clean debris out of the trough. Once the unit is clean, replace the drain plugs from the inside. Free up the motion of the float assembly and allow the fountain to fill. Make sure the elliptical closures float approximately ½ an inch below the water well rim. Insulating Thrifty King fountains from wind is critical to their proper operation. Double check the seal between the base of the unit and the concrete pad to ensure that it is weather tight, and make sure the water seal grooves between the base and the top and the valve chamber cover are full of liquid. Look down into the riser tube to ensure that it has not collected water, dirt, or debris of any kind during the summer. Make sure the water line is not touching the side of the riser tube. Clean it out if necessary. Any foreign material in the tube may provide a path for frost to migrate to the supply line, causing the line to freeze. At the end of the heating season, remove the immersion heater from the fountain. Scrub any buildup off of the surface of the heater and store it in a dry place over the summer. Before the cold weather season begins, check the electrical supply to the fountain. Then test the immersion heater to make sure it is still operational. This may require dumping ice into the trough so the water is cold enough to activate the thermostat.